learning little tips and tricks to help you along the way is totally okay. You don't have to do everything the traditional way and feel ashamed or something because you're doing things differently than what the average person is doing. You have to figure out what works for you and what's going to help you succeed. Hi guys, welcome back to Patent Pending the podcast. We're here. It's episode 7. We are diving right in. Thank you for joining us. Just to kind of give you a brief overview of what's going on for us right now. We've started to get more of an idea of how exactly we're organizing the podcast, and I hope you're loving it. We're starting to get more clear on the different types of series and features we are looking to build out, and there's more to come on that. But in the meantime, if you would like to move forward with supporting our work and our creation, we do have a Gofundme set up. Everything for that is linked in our bio on Instagram as well as our website. You can find everything there, and 25% of the proceeds or profits rather from that are being donated to a charity called Right Love on Her Arms, which is a really great organization that you can check out further if you're interested in those details online from the links. As far as new topics that you can be on the lookout for, we have a ton of great guests lined up for the next month or so. We're looking to create a ton of great content to provide you guys with a ton of educational pieces and help you learn some new things along the way as you're listening with us. So if there's anything that you're particularly interested in that you'd like to see us add to the list, just let us know, reach out, connect with us, and we'll be happy to consider it.
I hope you're enjoying the little input from our little friend here.
Jace is here. Say hi.
Now you quiet.
He's hungry. He's eating while we record. Because that's what today has come to. But
we've learned to adapt to any situation.
Yes, that's for sure.
Well, we hope that you enjoy.
Oh yeah.
Well, you're gonna enjoy it. I hope that you enjoy this episode. We're really excited for it. We dive into some pieces of advice that we have for anybody going through college, whether you're of typical college age or non-traditional. Our last couple episodes have been traditional students. We're looking forward to our next episode, which is going to be a non-traditional student who's doing awesome in her new program, and we're so proud of her and excited to discuss some of the things that have been different about her experience and what is to come for her. So look out for that next week. So if you haven't already, check out our Instagram. We have some posts we put out throughout the week, and through our Instagram you can find the links to all of our episodes and our GoFundMe. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to reach out. Any feedback on anything, we're more than happy to hear from you. And we hope you enjoy this episode.
Absolutely. We're loving the engagement and loving the comments and just sharing with you guys and hearing what you think. So please keep it coming our way. And if our work is resonating with you, please do share it with your friends, your family, anybody you think it might be good for. Because that's what we need to do at this point. We're looking to really just continue building out our community here for you guys and seeing where this journey takes us.
So like, follow, and subscribe.
Yes. Get in our ear somehow, and we will be happy to engage with that. But for now, with no further ado, we're going to move forward with this episode. We hope you love it. We hope you gather something beneficial from our tips and tricks. And we'll see you next week after this.
brain is exhausted right now.
Me too.
It's funny because I feel like that's how I felt throughout college. Like, literally the entire time.
Yeah.
Your brain is just constantly
you're always on overdrive.
Overworked.
Yeah. Getting back to that now, my mom said the funniest thing last night when I was working on one of my papers. She's like, well, did you forget what college was like? You better go get a coffee and wake up. I was like, Mom, I don't have it in me anymore. I'm exhausted. My brain doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's hard to be on. And because, like, in real life, a lot of times, you have a little more of a choice of, like, when you're on and when you're off.
Yeah. You can simmer down a little bit, but college is just like go, there's like, on, hustle all the time.
Yeah, constant deadlines. You have at least 4 classes at a time if you're going full time, and it's no professor communicates with other professors. That's not a thing.
It's not like about high school. Yeah. It's just get it done. This is my course. Figure it out. Good luck.
Mm-hmm. And if you have 4 tests on one day, you have 4 tests on one day.
Yeah, gotta be strategic about how you plan your schedule. I think that was like the most valuable thing I learned about being logical with planning was scheduling my credits to work in favor for me so I could work during school. What I would do is I would book request all my classes, whatever you say, on the same day. So I'd only have classes on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I would just do like all of my courses straight through 8 a.m. to like 9 p.m. or whatever, back to back. Mm-hmm. So I would have all the rest of the days of the week off, and I could work and I could go home on the weekends. But that's where it really nipped me in the butt, where I was like having tests and quizzes all day long on the days that they would come out, just because that's naturally how the cycle of the syllabus happens.
Yeah, I feel like you have to balance it too with like your natural abilities to, like, I knew an 8 a.m. course was not a good idea for me.
Yeah.
It just didn't work. Yeah. My brain wasn't going at 8 a.m. ever. And also, I mean, commuting. I would be up at like 6 a.m. to get there for an 8 o'clock class, between driving there, parking my car, getting on the bus, going to class. So I feel like you really start to get to know what your natural body clock is, and what your natural habits are, and when you function the best, and under what conditions you function the best. I got to know like what classes I needed like a cup of coffee for, and what, just those little things.
Which ones to record because you're totally zoned out.
Yeah.
Which ones to take pictures of the board because you're not capable of writing any more notes.
Right.
Little things like that make a difference between failing or succeeding.
Yeah. I feel like that stuff was really helpful because, and some professors are weird about it. Some professors don't like your like recording or taking pictures, whatever. Yeah. But most professors in this day and age are fine with it. But yeah, definitely, if I had a course that didn't fit with my natural schedule, and I knew that class every week was going to be, I was not going to be focused, or for whatever reason, it just wasn't going to work out for me, that's when you know, like, you got to
get creative,
record, take pictures, whatever you can do so you can go back to it later.
Yeah, I'll never forget my economics professor. I just could not keep up with her notes. She was the fastest writer I had ever seen in my life. She could fill an entire wall of blackboard within maybe a 5-minute time period. And I was like, oh my God, my brain's on overdrive. I'm still perfecting that first graph you just drew. I'm just going to take a picture of the rest of this before you erase it. Definitely beneficial. Just learning little tips and tricks to help you along the way is totally okay. You don't have to do everything the traditional way and like feel ashamed or something because you're doing things differently than what the average person is doing. You have to figure out what works for you and what's going to help you succeed.
Yeah, definitely. And also, like, finding the hobbies and things that keep you going throughout all of it. I mean, I would say the reason that I got through my undergrad degree as well as I did was because of my marching band.
Yeah.
It was the thing that kept, like, at the end of every week, or I think we had rehearsals on Mondays and Fridays, I think. And it just kind of, it capped off the week, and it was something that I used to turn my brain off a little bit, use something different in my brain, because I was going for accounting, and doing something creative and musical a couple times a week was really, really helpful. And just finding those things that I also joined different groups or things on campus just to get some social interaction outside of my classes, because you just can't go to class every day and go home and think that you're gonna make it through smoothly. It's not. You, as people, we need those moments to decompress, do something different, interact with other people, interact with different people. So I definitely credit a lot of my success to having those hobbies.
Yeah, I definitely feel similarly about training. When I was a personal trainer back in college, being able to know that I had something to be responsible for at 6 a.m. and I had people that were counting on me every single day of the week. That's what got me up out of bed to go and make money before I got to my class. It was like, okay, how many clients can I book today? How much money can I make today? How quickly can I get my body and my mind moving before I have to go and commit to my classes? Mm-hmm. And it was exciting. It was like a little challenge every day. Like, all right, how fast can I run from my apartment to the gym? Who's going to get there first, me or the client? You know, little things like that were just really, really influential to my success. I can definitely say that. I think that there's also something to be said about your failures throughout college and learning from every one of them, whether it's like a big lesson or a little lesson. Just taking something away from each experience is definitely really important, because for a lot of people, you know, it's the first time that you're failing, or you're being expected to do something different than what the normal patterns of your life have been. Like, if you think about it, we go to school for all of these years. You're in school for 13, 14, 15 years, depending on your preschool history, straight. And you just have summers off for most people. Some people even go to boarding schools. Like, you just never do anything else. And then all of a sudden you go to college and you're on your own, and you have freedom, and you have to make decisions, and there's expectations, and it's not just a strict pattern of, okay, this is where you're supposed to be, this is what you're supposed to do, this is when you need to get this done by. Yes, there's deadlines and all of that still, and there's still structure to your life, but it's very different from typical high school, and at times it's a lot more challenging academically for most people. And often that becomes the first time that you fail at something, whether that be socially or academically, whatever it may be. You know, you're meeting all these new people. So learning how to learn from those experiences is definitely key, because if you don't, that can be detrimental to your mental health and to your success, both academically and just generally as a person in the world, going through day-to-day life, whether you're going to be happy or not with whatever it is you're doing. It's definitely important to take notice.
Yeah, I think for me, going through high school, I didn't study. I really never studied. I went through, like you said, my 12, 13, 14 years, whatever it was, rarely having read a chapter of a textbook. So,
SparkNotes was my best friend.
Yeah.
Best friend.
I mean, you have all those little tricks that you use to get around, but I mean, lucky for me, a lot of it came naturally. I didn't have to try at a lot of it. It just felt normal. Like, I could just sit in class, listen to my teacher, and then take the test and pass. And I did well, and I just got through high school that way. And then I got to college, where there's no one holding your hand. A lot of the professors I mean, maybe you have some through, most people will have one or two really great professors throughout their college career, but just the sheer volume of professors and classes that are out there, most of them will not teach in your teaching style.
Yeah.
Like your learning style. So you are going to go through all these classes that you have no choice who you take them with. But you have to figure out how you're going to learn, and chances are at some point along the way you're going to fail at something.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me that happened. It was definitely my first failure in college, and you have to take that experience and, like you said, learn from it. Take something from that and change how you do the next thing.
Yeah. Because
the worst thing you can do is do the same thing over and over and over again and expect it to change. Nothing's going to change.
Yeah, I think it all goes back to learning your different creativity styles and how to tap into those. I can say that every time something was leading towards failure or did become a failure for me in college, I had to get super creative to find a way to get through it. Whether that meant taking the course with a different teacher, taking the course at a different school for one course, transferring it in, just little things like that. I mean, looking back now, it's not like crazy creative, but when I was 18 and I never had to do something like that before, it felt really creative. It felt like I was working my way around the issue, and being able to be proud of yourself when you find the way. When you find the path and you adapt properly and you reach that success, being able to recognize that and figure out, okay, I know what I did here to make myself successful. How can I then carry that over into my next experience where I will eventually reach a point of potential failure again and use that to find the way out?
Yeah, you have to learn from your successes and your failures.
Absolutely.
When you do well, notice why you did well.
Yeah.
Figure it out and use it in the future. When you don't do well, figure out why you didn't do well.
Yeah.
And carry that through.
There's a great book on this. It's actually called Failing Forward. I'd love to link to it in the show notes. I remember someone introduced me to it when I was maybe like 20. Really good time in my life to read that book. I haven't picked it up in years, but I think it could definitely help some people. We'll link to that here for you if you're interested. Around this topic, I think other things that come up in college that are really important become focusing in on your hobbies and your interests and figuring out what you like. It's a great time to kind of tap into different areas socially and just activity-wise. You have a chance to do things that you never did before. It's not the same cheer team or whatever, thing that you couldn't get involved in high school.
How many times in your life can you go to a plaza on a campus where there are 100 different organizations and different things that you can join at the same time?
Yeah, and most likely nobody knows you for most people.
Yeah.
It's like everything that was put on you as like a veil of, oh, she's like this or he's like that, or we don't want her in this club because of this or this or that or the other thing. It's all washed away. Like these people most likely don't know you.
You
and
get
if
to be
they
anybody.
do, exactly, you can be whoever you want. If they do know you, rare chance that there's a couple that do, you can completely recreate yourself. So it's a great time to really tap into, again, your interests and figure out, what do I like? What do I want to do? Like, what have I never done before that I've always thought about or just always had some sort of curiosity about? And really tune into that stuff and then create stuff from it, because that's where you find success, when you're nurturing yourself in those creative ways. Our souls need that, being able to have that outlet that's not your typical structure of a day-to-day normal thing for you is very important and very beneficial.
I feel like your true values come out so much in discovering those different things, because you're going to be put in so many different situations in college. You're surrounded by people that grew up in so many different walks of life, and you're just you get thrown into this melting pot of people, and you're gonna inevitably experience new things and be put in situations where maybe you are excited to experience, or maybe you're nervous to experience, or maybe it doesn't sit right with you, and you really have to listen to yourself and listen to your body and your gut and your heart and follow your truth and really own up to what you believe in. And maybe you didn't know before, but when you get that instinct, that feeling, go with it.
Yeah, and how do we learn to do that? Like, how do we learn to recognize those moments? I can think of so many times where I had a first time feeling. Mm-hmm. First time you get butterflies in your stomach because something's making you nervous, whether that be, you know, like a boy or like just something is making you nervous and you're feeling judged and it's not sitting right. I think I wrote a post about this the other day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. About your energy levels and whether or not you should be receiving that exchange of energy. That's a concept that blows so many people's minds. Like, I didn't learn that until fairly recently, over the past 5 years, I'd say, that when you're interacting with somebody, you are exchanging energy literally over an energetic field, and if their energy is no good for you or your energy is no good for them, it's not going to match and you're going to feel weird. Like, something's going to be off, and your body is going to tell you in one way or another, whether that be the hairs on your arm raising up or a feeling in the pit of your stomach or your heart rate rising or tears streaming from your eyes, whatever it may be. Being able to honor that and recognize it and not be embarrassed by it and just say, okay, like, what was it that made me feel that way and why? And how do I decipher when I'm approaching that in the future so I can avoid it, or just deal with it differently if it is something that you have to face on a day-to-day basis. It's very beneficial to understand those things about ourselves, because then you expose yourself to what's right for you once you get that point.
Yeah, when you find out what's wrong for you, it pushes you towards what's right for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just being able to figure out what you need to be attracted to versus what everybody else is doing, or what might be cool or like in the moment or the new trend, and being able to tune all of that out because you're so in touch with your own energy and your own values and your own interests that you can say, like, nope, that's not for me. Turn the other way and take a different path. Yeah. And that's what will allow you to thrive.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, you're not alone. Like, if you think you're not having the typical college experience, you hear it all the time. I didn't have the typical college experience. I didn't do the typical college things. There's no typical college things. Like, you do what's right for you. And if you'll find that if you are not the party scene in college, if you go to a frat party and you're like, this doesn't feel right, it's not for me, I don't really like this, and if you decide, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, and you walk around campus on the night of a big frat party, I guarantee you will find other people who feel the same way, and you'll make the best friends.
Oh my god, I'm not even going to tell you this story because it's just too explicit. Sorry. But just too many people might get angry over this. So I'm just not going to go there. But I just thought of something really funny that occurred in college for me. That was, similar experience to that. Replace frat with sorority, and it was just like, hell no, get out of here, leave. Like, why are you here? What are you doing? And I just remember literally crying, being locked in a room by these silly sorority women, crying my eyes out about how I just wanted my real friends back. Because they were all here at home in Long Island, and I was away, and they all stayed and went to local schools around here. And then there was me, and I was just like, this is not, like, my real true friendships at home. Why are these people trying to, like, make me do these things or feel this way? Why am I crying? What is going on? And looking back now, like, I found so much strength in those few moments of knowing that I needed my friendships to survive, and knowing that I needed to reach out to my friends and be able to still find ways to nurture those relationships even though I was away, because of that experience. Mm-hmm. And because of that, today, I didn't lose friends in college that I was friends with my whole life. I kept them, and here we are still today, making podcasts and doing great things and being in each other's weddings and all sorts of stuff. Like, we're still in touch and we're still close because that's what it was meant to be. Like, when you have relationships and you have things in your life that are made for you, your soul finds a way back to them, no matter what. If you just tune into what you're truly feeling and what you're truly thinking and honor that, instead of, again, just going with the trend or trying to, like, let those feelings subside, rather, to be cool or whatever it may be, fit in, that's not good. It's not going to serve you. It's not going to honor you. You can do better than that.
Yeah, and I remember hearing all the time, and as you said, we've been friends forever, and my core group of friends now is the same group of friends that I had in elementary school, with a couple add-ins here and there. But I really didn't... I have a couple of friends from college that I still keep in touch with, but I did not make any best friends in college. And I feel like that was something that I was almost self-conscious about going through college, because I felt like I always heard, you make lifelong friends in college. You make lifelong friends in college. Yeah. And I was like, why is this not happening? Like, why? Is there something, am I doing something wrong?
You already had us. Yeah. That's why.
Yeah, and maybe it's that, and maybe for some people it's that you're supposed to find your best friends in your first job. Yeah. I mean, I have a manager who, his best friends are all from his previous job, and they met there. They're all still best friends. They've all, some of them have moved on to other companies or whatever, but they're still best friends, and they're the ones that hang out all the time. They might have friends from other points in their lives here and there, but that's where they all found their group of friends. And colleges are going to tell you that because they want you to go to their college. Mm-hmm. Colleges are going to say, you're going to find your best friends here, you're going to do all these things, this and that, but you have to have your own college experience. Yeah. It's not what anybody else, it shouldn't be what anybody else expects your experience to be.
Yeah, I mean, like, yes, of course, like, there's people that are going to look at this conversation and be like, that's not true. There's certain exceptions to what we're saying here, of course.
Some people find their best friends in college, and that's great. I'm just saying it's not everybody.
Exactly. Like, everyone's story doesn't have to be the standard, is really what we're getting at here. And I think you make a great point there, Katie. Like, when it doesn't matter when you meet your core group of people or whether you have a core group of people or not, but the whole point is that when you become more in touch with yourself and who you truly are or who you want to become one day, and you're surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded, you're naturally going to align with more people who share similar viewpoints as you, that will then in turn allow you to become that person that you dream of being. So I think all of this goes back to vision work and being able to really understand what you want for your future. Like, yes, go out, have fun, party, do cool things, but also, like, join the clubs that are going to catapult you in the direction that you want to be going. Mm-hmm. Join the sports teams that you're going to build relationships with people on that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. Mm-hmm. Like, things like that are just so important, and I think there's something to be said for the people who are willing to expose themselves to lots of different things to find who they are, because we don't know, and there's so many different versions of ourselves. You don't have to be one thing or another. You can be on debate team, and you can also, like, I don't know, play soccer or like basketball or whatever, like, you don't have to just hang with one crew is what I'm getting at. You can be many things, and that's a constant theme throughout life as you move forward. There's so many different parts of our purpose, And if we can learn to honor that, that's when we'll be living the most holistic and fruitful lives.
Yeah, and I mean, just getting back to the core of why you are in college, I mean, you're there to start your career.
Yeah.
So within all of these activities and hobbies that you're doing, include something that is going to start building your network of people, your professional network. I mean, when I was, it could be something as simple as joining a business sorority, or just joining a club in your major, or really anything. Go to your professor's office hours and make them know your name. Make them know you.
You don't want to be just another person in the lecture hall.
Right. As a freshman, go to a job fair.
Yes.
Meet people. It's so important. Even if you don't know, you could have no idea even what your major is going to be. If you're going for liberal arts, go to job fairs of different majors. Go to a business fair. Go to a science fair. Go to a applied math fair. Go to a psychology fair. Go to all of them, because that's where you're going to meet people in the industry who can give you advice and who can point you in maybe a new direction or give you a new perspective. And it's important to get your name out there early. I can't tell you how many times because I go to these events as a recruiter now for my company, and when I see someone multiple years in a row because they started going to these fairs as a freshman,
you remember them.
Yeah, they weren't ready for an internship or a job that we were offering. They weren't there yet. But by the time they were there, I knew exactly who they were. They didn't have to tell me their name when they came up. Yeah. And that means a lot, because it means that they're dedicated to finding out what's right for them and really putting themselves out there. And that's what you want. I mean, when you're going on a job interview, not only is the person interviewing you, you're interviewing them and their company as well. Yes. So put yourself out there. Get as much knowledge as you possibly can. Don't, have your hobbies. Do all of these different things. Discover who you are. The college is like the one time in your life where you get to do all of these things at once. And it can sound overwhelming, but that's your job at that point in your life. Yeah. Is to find you.
Take advantage of it, people. Please. Oh my goodness. If you have the time to do things like that now and have varied interests and honor them all, do it, because life gets busy so fast. Fast. Yeah. And I feel like you hear this a lot in high school, even when you're like getting close to graduation. Everyone's like, oh, you ready for the real world? You ready for the real world? And it's like, am I ready for the real world? Am I not in the real world right now? Like, what does that mean?
That's an interesting point, though. You're always in the real world.
Like, it's just that your world changes. Exactly. And what's really real in it changes quickly as you develop into these different phases of your life. Mm-hmm. Like, when you become a parent, you're just, like, totally thrown for a loop. Like, you have other responsibilities. Mm-hmm. When you get your first real full-time professional job, that's a totally different spectrum of the world than someone who's just, like, taking college courses and a full-time student. So I think that, like, leading up to all of these levels of adulthood, like, when you're a student, you need to take advantage of all the things that you can take advantage of as a student. Mm-hmm. And then take those opportunities to, again, build those relationships and find people that are going to help you as you get from one phase to the next. It's very valuable. I still have contacts today that I've met many years ago for the first time at internship fairs and things like that, of companies that I would consider going back to working for after being home with my kids for these next few years. If I do end up going back to the corporate world, like, I would still look at those companies and I still keep in touch with those people to hold that relationship, so that 10 years from the first interaction that I had with them, maybe it'll even be 15 years. Who knows? They'll remember me, you know?
Yeah.
You have to be memorable. If you're not, then you just go with the wind and that's it. You know, like you don't want to be just another resume in anybody's eyes ever.
Right. And I feel like a big part of that is to not think of these recruiters and these employers as recruiters and employers.
Yeah, we're people.
They're other people. We're there to make connections with you just like you're there to make connections with us. I mean, me going into a job fair at a college, I'm barely even looking at your resume.
Yeah, I'm looking for your personality.
I know you have nothing on there. Maybe you had an internship, but when you're coming in as an entry-level person, straight out of college, I expect you know nothing. Literally nothing. We will teach you everything you need to know. What I want to know is, can I have a conversation with you?
Yeah. Are you likable?
Yeah. Can you get along with anybody? Can you have a conversation with anybody? Can you professionally speak to clients?
Yeah.
Those are the things that we're looking for. Do we maybe have something in common? Were you also in the marching band and we can connect on that level? We want to see a connection. So honestly, the best piece of advice that I could give is just talk to as many people as you possibly can, because that's the easiest way to get yourself used to that, and don't think of them as authority or anything above you. They're just other people. We're just other people.
That's great advice to carry forward into actual interviews as well. Like, I can't tell you, when I used to be interviewing entry-level candidates, I was like a year older than them, and sometimes they were my age, and like I just had a little bit more experience professionally under my belt. That was the only thing. That doesn't make me an authoritative figure. You don't have to like bow down to me. Talk to me like a person. Mm-hmm. Those are the people whose names I still remember today. The people that could call me at my desk and be like, "Hey, Melissa, like, what do you think about this job? What do you think about that? How's it going today? How's life? How was your commute?" Things like that. That's the level I want to connect on, and be able to be like, you know what? I like her. I'm going to put her forward for this job. Mm-hmm. Like, I think she'd be great because she can connect with people in this way. This is how she speaks to me, or this is how he speaks to me, whatever it may be. You want to show people those other parts of your personality, because I feel like work especially is becoming so different these days. So having a good workplace culture is at the forefront of so many recruiters' minds. So once you reach that point where you're going to these internship fairs and stuff, moral of the story, just be memorable.
Yeah, and once
in a good way.
Please. Yeah. And once you learn to do that, it's going to help you in your professional career overall. I mean, it's when you get into a professional environment and you have a boss and a boss above your boss and a boss above your boss's boss, things can start to get intimidating. Mm-hmm. So just developing that sense of, I'm a person, you're a person, we both live lives just like anybody else, it makes things so much easier. It makes it so much easier to walk into that person's office, whether you have a quick question or you need to request a day off, or you drop the ball on something and you gotta admit it. It makes it so much easier when you've established early on in your professional career that I'm of value, I'm a person just like anybody else.
Yeah, and I think it takes a lot of effort for some people to get to that point. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, like, you don't just innately have that confidence.
Yep.
Of, like, I'm a boss, you know, like, it's formed over many years from our childhood. Some people are more drawn back, or like introverts or shy, or whatever word you want to use, but being able to even highlight those things, because you're going to find other people that are like that. It goes back to, again, just finding people that are like-minded and like you, mm-hmm. that can relate to you. Those people are going to honor your truth. Mm-hmm. In every way. So if you're working with them in a professional environment, that's going to carry over to there too. It's not gonna be different just because you're in like an office space, you know. But it takes a lot of effort, and I think that's another thing with college. Like, for most of us, it's the first time that you really have to put in much effort to do anything because you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go buy your own groceries. You have to go and like pay your own bills for most people and like do your own thing. You have to organize your own life. Your parents aren't there doing it for you anymore. And there's a lot of influences around. Mm-hmm. So being able to, again, tune into what's important to you and shape your efforts in the direction that's going to bring you to the right place towards the things that are valuable to you will benefit you.
I feel like it's so important to take opportunities when they come to you, especially in college, because things come up out of nowhere. Like,
oh, yeah.
They just pop up right in front of you, and if you don't have your, whether it be your schedule or just like if you're not on top of yourself and taking care of yourself and have things in order, it's very difficult to take advantage of those opportunities. So it's really important from the start, as much as you can, to keep a good schedule and keep yourself healthy and form good habits and be organized so that when those things come along, you have space for them. And you don't have to rearrange and stress yourself out in order to take advantage of something that's been thrown your way.
Absolutely. I think it's important to kind of go through life expecting the unexpected. Yeah. And be able to say, like, or maybe you do expect it. Maybe you're very, like, positive. Who knows? And optimistic. But for most people, like, the average person, I think, doesn't really, like, expect opportunities to just, you know, cross their path on a daily basis or whatever it may be. And that's most common in your life when you're in college. Now, that's not to say, like, if that's not happening for you, that it's not going to happen later on. But there's many random things that come up, as Katie was saying, where you're just like, oh, I wasn't expecting this at all. Now, how do I make that work? I really want to do that. Mm-hmm. Being able to just quickly pull out a planner and say, oh, yes, I have this day free. I can come and meet you and do this or that or the other thing, whatever you want. Like, mm-hmm. being accommodating and being adaptable is very important so that you can take advantage of every opportunity that's presented to you.
Yeah, and that's another thing that will carry into the rest of your life as well. Developing organization early on and just being on top of your own schedule and your own life will benefit you moving forward in your career. So many times in my job, somebody comes up to my desk and just says, what's on your plate right now? And I have to have a list of what I have going on, when things are due. I have to be on top of everything so that I know in 3 hours I'm going to have an hour of time to do something if you need it.
Yeah.
And just being able to stay organized like that makes you so much more valuable to other people. Because if they can't count on you to at least know whether you have time or you don't have time for something, they're not going to come to you next time.
Yeah.
If somebody comes to me and I just say, I don't know, I have this going on, I might have time later, next time they're not coming to me.
Yeah, they're going to go to the next desk and say, that girl does not know what she's doing. Let me just ask somebody else, because that's annoying, you know?
Yeah, and that's how you get passed up for opportunities.
Sure, yeah. I think that college is a time where, you know, I think a lot of what we're saying, we're kind of talking about it in a context that would assume somebody's in college at a traditional age, like right after high school, but that's not the case for everyone. Right. And I think that these lessons we're talking about really carry over into any area of your life if you're in college. Like, for example, with me right now, I just recently went back for my master's. I received my bachelor's in a traditional schedule right after high school, and then took a few years off after working for a few years and having my kids home and all this stuff. So now I'm back in it, and I'm like, how did I do this before? And I had like 6 classes, and now I just have 1. And like, it's just crazy. So I think what I'm trying to say is you build these life skills throughout your college experience, regardless of where it is you're experiencing that in the pattern of your life. Like, I'm having to do new things now again and move my schedule around and do things differently than I normally would. And those are life skills that carry over into many different things that I do, not just school, not just parenting, not just work. It's for everything. And it's very important to build that resilience and understand your responsibilities in a light that highlights them all pretty equally and allows you the time and the ability to tap into all of them in the way that you want to. Like, we all have 24 hours in a day. We just have to figure out how to nurture our bodies well enough to act at the highest capacity possible to do as much as we want to do possible.
Yeah.
It's hard, especially like, I don't know, when you want to chill and it's summertime and you just want to relax. Like, that's important too. You need to do all those things too. But when you want to do all this different stuff and you want to be in a million different places and do all these different things and your interests are varied, finding ways to honor those interests differently and uniquely will definitely carry over into the organization of other areas of your life.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the theme of the day. I mean, things that you develop in college and carry through to your professional career and just your life in general. Some of the main things that we've discussed and just in wrapping up this episode, number one, I would say, is definitely plan your schedule strategically and keep an organized planner and just stay organized in general. Number two, take on new hobbies and make time to wind down and socialize, because those are things that you will likely go back to in the future. Just when you go through tough times, you'll be able to lean on those things to help you get through. Number three, go to job fairs early and often. This is one of the more professional career kind of pieces of advice that we have given today, and it's so important. Put your name out there, get out there. Don't let an interview be the first time someone is seeing you. Don't let your resume come across someone's desk who doesn't recognize your name. Number four is follow your gut. This really comes into play in just developing a feel for who you are and what your values are and what makes you feel good and what is going to be good for you, and how to surround yourself with people that hold you up and don't hold you back. Number five is you don't have to make your best friends in college. You never know when those people in your life might come along. It could be the first people you meet in kindergarten that live around the corner from you. It could be senior year of high school. It could be college. It could be your first job. Don't ever discount yourself that you're not finding those people in any one stage of your life, and don't ever close the door on finding new people either. And number six, show your personality always, and realize that recruiters and employers are people too. They're not some authority figure that you need to be intimidated by. We're all going to be nervous in certain situations, but the biggest thing to really take away from this is that everyone has something to offer, including you, and just own that and be confident in that you can accomplish what you set your mind to, and do everything in your power to show other people that as well. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you took some notes and can use some of this going forward, whether you're going into college, have just graduated, really anything. a lot of these pieces of advice can be used in any stage of your life. They're just things that we feel develop a lot in the college environment. So thank you again for listening. We hope you come back next week. And if you haven't yet, take a look at some of our previous episodes. They're all linked in our Instagram bio. And that's it. Bye for now.